Good evening and welcome to Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, your place for a fun conversation about horror movies. Tonight we'll talk about a pretty good Canadian slasher film, and we'll also cover several other films in an end-of-year lightning round format. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're glad to have you here. Now pour yourself a drink and sit back because here we go.
Are you boys ready to have your minds blown?
So how you gonna drill me just because I'm flousing? Your girl.
Hey, come back! Come back! Come back, lover boy!
A little on the wholesome side. Hey, Karen? Hope she doesn't devalue the product.
The girls say you're something of a regular.
Love light, roars and strip clubs, a glare of a starry night. Selling pussy ain't wrong, but it's highly right. I hardly write anymore. Because
She goes to Selby College, actually.
Like Selby in Milton? Dude, that's like 70 miles from here. You gotta go get her. I'm serious, dude. She's not only right around the corner, she is gettable.
Homie, you're really starting to piss me off, man.
bottle after bottle, I do my damn thing. I'm worried about tomorrow, come on. I'm on fire in the club. Girls on the
What are you talking about?
No. Don't go in there. Don't go in there. Turn around.
No, please don't. Please don't kill me, please. Please. Please.
What's that they say about beauty? Something about skin deep.
Let's get into our featured film review for the evening. We're going to talk about this film. It is called Girlhouse. This is a slasher horror film, a Canadian slasher horror film no less, released in the year 2014, directed by Trevor Matthews and John Knotts, and the cast includes Ali Corbin, Adam DeMarco, and a rapper named Slane. Let's get into talking about Girlhouse. If you're going to sit down to watch Girlhouse, what you should expect is a modern version of a straight-up slasher film from the 1980s with many beautiful ladies. Now, if you like the Halloween series, you might like Girlhouse. If you like the Malevolence series, you might like Girlhouse. You could substitute in Friday the 13th here. If you like the Friday the 13th series, you might like Girlhouse. This is a pretty much conventional slasher film of the Halloween, Malevolence, Friday the 13th variety. Let's get into calibrating our sights for what to expect if you watch the film. This is the scale we like to use. On the far left side of the scale, we have very campy films such as Jason X. On the far right side of the scale, we have very serious films such as The Silence of the Lambs. As always, this scale is not an indicator of the quality of the film, but an indicator of what your mindset needs to be going into the film if you're going to maximize your enjoyment of it. Girlhouse is straight down the middle. It is a straight down the middle popcorn release. Does not take itself too seriously, but is not an overt comedy either. Now, before we go any farther, we need to get into our vocabulary lesson for the week. Our vocabulary lesson, of course, is the part of the show where we discuss new and innovative words and phrases in an effort to stay ahead of social media bots and algorithms that would otherwise try to ban our conversation. The social media bots and algorithms are always getting smarter, so our language must always evolve to stay ahead of them. 2 terms this week. Our first term is instabinate, which it seems like we did relatively recently, but we're going to cover it again tonight. Instabinate with a B. Instabinate, it means to remove one or more of a character's digits through the application of a mechanical process. So if you're leaving little stubs behind and losing digits, you're being instabinated. Now, along with instabinate, we have can't touch this, which is a slang expression. Slang expression for striking a character with a hammer, often but not always on the head. And as if you needed me to tell you this, the name is derived from the song title You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. Anyway, these are your vocabulary words for the week. Please keep these terms in mind. They will become important later in the episode. Let's get into a summary of this film. In this film, Kylie Atkins is a college student having trouble coming up with enough money for tuition. Not an uncommon problem, but she comes up with a rather unusual solution. Taking advantage of the fact that she is very attractive, Kylie joins an online pornography venture where she lives in a house where everything is broadcast on camera. This provides her with more than enough money to cover tuition and her expenses, and also conveniently gives her a place to live. Now, Kylie's first on-camera striptease catches the attention of Loverboy, a site regular who has a violent past. And Loverboy becomes obsessed with Kylie, with tragic results, as you might expect. So this brings us to our villain profile. Our villain profile for the evening is Loverboy, and here you see Loverboy in his mask and wig. Loverboy is of the class of mask-wearing psycho slasher. His special powers are exceptional strength and resistance to damage, and also computer skills. And his signature weapon is, well, he doesn't so much have a signature weapon, it's more of a theme. He uses a number of different implements from a technician's toolbox, such as a utility knife and a hammer. Also a croquet mallet. So that's our villain profile for the week, Loverboy. Let's get into what I liked about this film. So things I liked about this film, right off the bat, as slasher films go, this one is surprisingly well directed and features good production values. It's reasonably well acted, at least as far as slasher films go, so grading on the curve of the other films such as Halloween or Friday the 13th, reasonably well acted. The film takes some time to introduce all of the characters, but keeps you entertained with a variety of lovely ladies. Let me consult my notes here. Seems what I said was, it's taking a while to get to the action, but they're keeping me entertained. There's a high kill count with some exciting kills. And just to say this out loud, fans of lovely ladies will be satisfied with this film. It does not disappoint. Now, of course, it is a film called Girlhouse. It is a slasher film. There are things that could have been better. These are not necessarily things I take issue with, but these are things that could be taken issue with the film. Right off the bat, this is a straight-up slasher film. It is a well-executed straight-up slasher film, but nevertheless, it is a straight-up slasher film. If that is not your thing, then this is not the film to change your mind. Some might be turned off by the blatant exploitation that is the film's premise. The plot involves some convenient coincidences. I won't get into all of them, but my goodness, there are some convenient coincidences in this film, primarily revolving around the fact that the internet is literally worldwide, and yet all of these characters seem to be within a couple of hours of each other. The film is somewhat derivative and formulaic, which is the fancy way of saying it's a conventional straight-up slasher film. It does not do anything revolutionary with the genre. It's just a straight-up slasher film, but a well-executed one. So let's get to Steve's scorecard for this film. Right off the bat, kills, I counted 14, which is a pretty large number for the first film in a horror franchise. Bare breasts, drum roll please. So in a film called Girlhouse, you would expect bare breasts and you would not be disappointed. I counted 16. Denoggening, I counted 1. Evil Knievelings, an unfortunate trick on a bicycle or motorcycle, I counted 1. We saw a little bit of that in the preview. Instubinating, I counted 10. Yes, a total of 10 digits lost in this film. Can't touch this, our other vocabulary term from this week, I counted 1. Crowbar to the head, counted 1 of those as well. In addition to crowbar to the head, we have croquet mallet to the head, counted 1 of those. And finally, camera to the head. Yes, there are repeated blows to the head with a camera in this film, in addition to the croquet mallet to the head, the crowbar to the head, and the hammer to the head. But with your viewing of Girlhouse, you also get some bonus features, such as and including mean girls picking on the awkward fat kid. It's kind of uncomfortable to watch. I'll show you mine if you show me yours, says the mean girl to the awkward fat kid. Don't believe her, she's lying, don't do it. Oh, he did it, and turns out she lied. Yep, she lied, folks. He showed her his, she did not show hers back. You get creepy stalker action. You get creepy mannequin kissing action. Is there any other kind? It seems like any action involving kissing a mannequin is going to be creepy. You get awkward pickup line action. You get mannequin stabbing action. You get door slamming on the head action. And why does the sauna even get that hot? We have to ask this question from time to time in horror movies. Halloween 2 is an example. Why does the sauna even get so hot that it's deadly? Not really a question for which we have an answer. And finally, the quote of the film, I really don't see how anything bad can happen. Yes, Kylie really says, I really don't see how anything bad can happen when people warn her about joining an online pornography venture. So let's get to Steve's final score. We're going to give this one 3 paws out of 4. I enjoyed this film surprisingly better than I expected it to be. I expected it to be just a cookie cutter slasher film, below average cookie cutter slasher film at that. It turns out it was above average slasher film, not entirely cookie cutter, not too revolutionary either. We're going to say this is a well-made conventional slasher film featuring a large number of gratuitously violent kills combined with a variety of lovely ladies. So it's chock full of your tropes from various slasher films. Anyway, that is Girlhouse, and that is our final score, 3 paws, and that is our featured film review for the week. And now a word from our benevolent overlords at PBDC TV, your nightly heartbeat of horror.
Oakhurst Lunatic Asylum, case number 094. Dr. Mortimer Thornfield recording. Patient 04278, Stephen Peakety Cat. Often referring to himself as Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. Diagnosis, Morbus Organizers Disorder, or MOD. Observation, patient exhibits an artistically delightful and disturbed mind. The patient's pursuit of selling t-shirts and merchandise that celebrate the macabre and the horrifying has led to the diagnosis of Morbus Organizers Disorder, a condition that melds artistic madness with a twisted appreciation for the darker side of cinema. Treatment plan being that the patient's products are of a perfect embodiment of their twisted artistic vision and the unique nature of the condition. Procurement of said merchandise is recommended.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
In the southeast of America, in the quiet town of Quinton, located in Walker County, Alabama, a nightmares about to unfold. Two young friends embarking on a road trip, little did they know they were about to stumble upon a horrifying tale that would forever haunt their souls. They had no idea that their journey would lead them to the infamous Spook Trail family, deranged haunted maze makers known for their twisted ways and insatiable hunger to scare. But the question remains, will anyone make it out alive? Brace yourself, for the frights are about to begin.
Mayday! Mayday! Can you hear us? We need help. I repeat, we need help.
Oakhurst Lunatic Asylum, case number 1972. Dr. Mortimer Thornfield recording. Patients 04853 through 04857, known as the Psycho Bunnies. Their true identities are unknown to me at this time. Diagnosis: Eccentricus malevolentis disorder, or EMD. The patients seem to have inclinations of a twisted and unconventional artistic talents, exhibiting a disconcerting combination of insanity, disorderliness, and a penchant for the macabre. Observation: their collective behavior and unyielding commitment to selling t-shirts and merchandise that revel in the darker aspects of existence have led to the diagnosis of eccentricus malevolentis disorder, a condition that merges artistic eccentricity with a delightfully wicked sense of humor. Treatment plan: the patient's relentless obsession with creating and selling t-shirts adorned with sinister slogans, macabre imagery, and morbid humor is a defining symptom of their condition. Therefore, procurement of said merchandise is recommended.
Now, back to the show.
We've reached the end of another episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, and with that, not only have we reached the end of a new episode, we have reached the end of all of our episodes for the year 2023. Yes, check your calendar. It is December. This is our last episode for the year 2023. So, in celebration of this fact, not only are we going to discuss other stuff Steve watched this week, we are going to do it in a lightning round format. So we're going to talk about a variety of movies in lightning round format, starting with The Cleaning Lady. The Cleaning Lady is a 2018 horror film. I found this on Tubi, free with ads. In this film, Alice is a young woman in an affair with a married man. Alice knows the relationship is not good for her and needs it to end, but she finds it difficult to break it off. Poor Alice is obsessed. She is obsessed with the man in whom she is in a relationship with, and she just can't break it off. But what she can do is channel her energies into other avenues. So she befriends her cleaning lady, a young woman with a severely scarred face, thinking that she will focus on being friends with the cleaning lady, and effectively the cleaning lady will help her stay away from her, not her betrothed, but her love interest. Unfortunately, what she does not account for is the fact that the young cleaning lady's psyche is as scarred as her face. We are treated to a variety of flashbacks where we find out just how her face became scarred in the first place. The verdict on this one, it's a low-key, slow burn kind of film. It's a little above average. It's worth watching, but not worth setting an entire evening aside for. I liked it. Wouldn't go crazy over it, but do recommend it. It is a little bit above average. What else do we have? Well, we have this film called The Blood Widow. Blood Widow is a 2014 horror slasher film. Found this on Tubi, free with ads. In this film, Laurie and Hugh are a young couple who have just closed on a weekend farmhouse away from the city. Good for them. Hugh invites his friends up to the house for a weekend bash, to the dismay of Laurie. Laurie kind of hoped that having bought the house, the two of them were going to start growing up, and Hugh was going to stop partying so much with his frat brothers. But first thing right off the bat, what does Hugh do? He sets up a party at the farmhouse. So Laurie is upset with Hugh. In the meantime, some of the partygoers disturb a neighbor who should not be disturbed. Let's leave it at that. So what happens? Well, soon the partygoers are disappearing in a brutal fashion. So on the pro side, this film features some pretty bloody special effects. Lots of beheadings and such. On the con side, it's low budget. There's poor plot development and the story does not entirely make sense. At least in my mind, it did not. So overall verdict, recommended if you're in the mood for a dumb slasher film, because the slasher aspects of it are pretty good. The film aspects of it, not so much. So avoid it if you're looking for something with character development or a good story. If you're just looking for body count slasher film, it fits the bill as well as anything else. What else do we have this week? We have this film called Totally Killer. Totally Killer is a 2023 horror comedy. It is an Amazon Prime exclusive. In this film, we begin in the year 1987. In the year 1987, the Sweet 16 killer claims 3 different victims on 3 different nights and is never caught. Why the Sweet 16 killer? Because the victims are killed on their 16th birthdays. 35 years later, the killer resurfaces to claim a 4th victim, not 16, but one who was the friend of the other 3 at the time. So why does he resurface 35 years later? Well, that's one of the mysteries, but more to the point, we're going to introduce a time machine at this point. Yes, the victim's daughter and her friend are working on a time machine for the science fair, which of course works because that's what happens in these films. And she goes back in time to the year 1987 to try to save her mother and her mother's friends from the Sweet 16 killer. So what you get on the pro side is this movie is a bit of fun. It feels like Happy Death Day meets Back to the Future. This film feels a lot like Happy Death Day. On the con side, not quite as entertaining as Happy Death Day, at least I did not think so. The verdict, overall, this is above average. I recommend you give it a try if you like Happy Death Day. What else do we have? Finally, we have one more film. We have Renfield. Yes, Renfield is a 2023 horror comedy. Found this on Amazon Prime. It's not a Prime exclusive. You can find this, for example, on Blu-ray. This takes Dracula and Renfield from the 1930s movie and places them in current days, so it effectively it's a 90 years later sequel to the original Dracula. In this film, Renfield longs to get away from his master, and with the help of a self-help group for codependent people, he finds the courage to break away from his master. Along the way, Renfield becomes entangled with the mob and with a police officer looking to bring down the mob. So on the pro side, the cast is talented and the portions of the film are funny. On the con side, overall, the film is just not very good and it feels more like a bloody buddy action film than a horror film. Feels a lot like a Lethal Weapon buddy cop type film. The overall verdict, meh. I was not impressed with this film. Do not recommend it. It was kind of a failure at the box office, so apparently a lot of people agreed with me. I guess if you're looking for a horror comedy, you could do worse, but it's not great. It's not as good as, say, something like Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. So if you're looking for a horror comedy, I recommend Tucker and Dale vs. Evil or Zombievers. But if you've seen those and want to watch something new, you can give Renfield a try. It's not going to be as good. It is going to feel more like a comedy version of a very bloody take on Lethal Weapon. But anyway, that is Renfield. The verdict is not impressed and do not recommend. But that is Renfield. That is other stuff Steve watched this week, and that wraps it up for the year 2023. That brings us to the end of another episode of Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad to have you along. If you did enjoy the show, then please check us out on social media. You can find Steve the Cat on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, or whatever they're calling Twitter now. So please stop by and hit that subscribe button. Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat is available exclusively through the PBDC Collective Incorporated, now legally incorporated and still your heartbeat of horror. You can find us on the web at psychobunnydc.com, or you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, and Discord. Now, the Discord site is for members only, so if you're interested, please go to psychobunnydc.com and click the link for an invitation. Well, folks, that wraps us up for calendar year 2023. Thank you so much for joining us this year. We'll be back with new episodes in 2024, but for now, thank you for watching, and we wish you all a great new year. Good night, everybody.